right, guys, good morning. If you could grab your coffee, take a seat, we're going to get this party started this morning. And I am here with my fellow organizers for 1 Million Cups. We've got Zach, Courtney, Stephanie, and Milton. And show of hands, how many of you are here for the first time? Oh my gosh, awesome. Tope, great. Okay, very good. For those of you that are here for the first time, 1 Million Cups was founded by the Kauffman Foundation, and we bring together entrepreneurs and they present for 6 minutes. You can come right here. They'll present for 6 minutes, and then we're going to open up questions to our expert panelists, and we'll get them introduced here in a minute. And from there, we have an opportunity for the audience to ask questions as well. So we just ask, throw your hand up, we'll get you taken care of. So we're going to go ahead and introduce our expert panelists. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. We've got Nathan and Paul Singh.
Hey, I'm Nathan Kurtz, work here at the Kauffman Foundation, focus on entrepreneurship and how do we make an impact in Kansas City and the greater region. Great to be here.
Hey, I'm Paul Singh. I tell people I'm a blood-sucking capitalist and a full-time truck driver. Invested in about 1,600 companies, 50 countries, and I'm driving an Airstream around the country this year, and I'm parked in, I guess, how do you say, I don't even know, is it the Waldo neighborhood? So if you see an RV in a parking lot, come say hello. I don't have enough beer for all you guys, but you can say hello.
Thanks, guys. Okay, we're going to go ahead and introduce our first presenter. We've got David and Matt with Tether Tug.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Oh, sorry. Good morning, everybody. How are you? My name is Dave Hayford, and I'm here with Tether Tug, and I know what most of you are thinking right now. You're thinking, what the heck is a Tether Tug? Well, do you remember in 4th grade when you went into class and you got all excited because you saw they were going to play a movie? We're going to play a movie.
The Tether Tug dog toy is an interactive outdoor toy designed to keep dogs healthy, happy, and entertained. Its unique design allows the pole to turn, flex, and flip the toy back and forth, providing valuable cardiovascular exercise to dogs of any size or activity level. The Tether Tug provides the interactive play all dogs need to prevent destructive behavior and stay mentally active. A variety of fun, interchangeable toys keep dogs engaged in hours of energy-burning play. So isn't it time for your dogs to pull, tug, and spin their way to better health? Visit tethertug.com today.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? So Tether Tug's been around for about 2 years, 2.5 years, excuse me, and we were born out of necessity to help dogs stay healthy, happy, and entertained. We all know that if you take your dog for a 3-mile run, they want to go another 3 miles. If you throw the ball 50 times, they want you to throw the ball another 50 times. So we came up with this toy to help keep those dogs active when we all run out of energy. So first thing I want to do is I want to tell you about the business plan we did and how we took us from when we first started 2.5 years ago to where we are now, which we're doing pretty good by our standards. I want to tell you about our business plan, but we didn't really write one because we weren't completely committed to the product. Matt and I had our own little, I just don't know if we see this yet. But thankfully, we were going to hire a group of consultants to talk to us about where the product was going to go in the marketplace. We were going to, but we didn't do that either. So real life, our story is about bootstrapping it, about finding out where it was going to work, where it wasn't going to work, and kind of moving through navigating that system. We did know 3 things. One, we knew there was nothing like this on the market in the pet world. There's no flexible poles with a rope attached that go in the ground that a dog can play with. So we did, and we got that one right. The other thing we thought for sure this was going to be a great retail product. We're from Springfield, Missouri, and there's a great chain down there called Petsway. And they bought our product, they sold to our product, they bought more. We're like, man, we got this thing, we've nailed it. So we go to other retailers and we go to other distributors and we talk to them like, so what do you guys think about this? And the first retailer would say, well, how does it display? We said, well, it's real simple. It's got this little hoop right here, and it just hangs on a JPEG. And then it was kind of that Shark Tank moment where they looked at me and went, no, for that reason, I'm out. And I made that same face that everybody else does on Shark Tank. Really? So we didn't really work there. So I went to distributors and thought, well, we'll go to distributors and they can help push the product through. They know their customers better. And then they looked at me and said, well, that's great. We like the toy. We like the video. How does it ship? In a box? What do you mean? Well, a pallet's 48 inches long and your toy is 60. It won't fit on a pallet. Again, for that reason, I'm out. So the two things we thought that was going to work, and that didn't, but we did think, if you see our video, you're going to think, man, that's a really cool toy. And if we could get it in DR, get it into As Seen on TV, people would really like it. And we had a company actually out of Kansas City call us a few times, real deal, products in the marketplace, so we want to do a commercial with you guys. This is perfect. And he says, so what we do is we do a commercial, we test it, we do a 1-week test, and if with this matrix of the price of your toy and how much we spend, if we sell enough, we'll be buying more of it. So with our toy, we had to sell 167 units with their matrix, right? And he says, now if we sell 167, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a PO for tens of thousands a month. Tens of thousands a month. Okay, we make about $10 on a toy. Let me do some California public school math for you. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in profit. So I went and I started, where's my boat? I was going to get that. But you could tell, because I'm not on that, we didn't sell 167. We didn't sell 100. We didn't sell 60, but we got 7. We nailed 7. So 2 things that we thought for sure were going to work didn't. So in real life, because we didn't have that great business plan, we were able to adapt and adjust. I'm going to tell you 2 things that did work for us. Year ago Thanksgiving, which is 2 Thanksgivings ago, I got a call from a guy who works for a company called Coupa. Coupa is like Groupon for pets. So you sign up, you get an email from them every day, and they tell you to buy stuff. And we've done business with them, and it was always okay. He says, so let me ask you guys, how are you doing on inventory? I don't know, our inventory, we do stuff like Subway sandwich, man. You call us, we make one. That's kind of how our inventory was working. So he says, on Monday, we're going to kind of hit you guys with a big order, because what we've done is we've put your video up on a Facebook community site called I Love My Dog, had 1.5 million views. He bought the space, it stayed there and played for all those people. So those of you who've done anything you sell online, you realize that when one guy promotes you, it doesn't stay with him. It has this ripple effect that comes out, and it hit everybody. So we go in on Monday, the week before Christmas, and we have a month's worth of business that day. We don't do that. We were, like I say, we're making 5, 6 at a time. But we found that if we put the video in the right place, in front of the right people, we can grow really well. And that was the day that we went from being a hobby to being a real business. Another thing that happened, and you've got to hear this story, it's my last piece of it, was really, really cool, is back in June, right here where you see we have this little bump, it's awesome. Sales are coming through, things are really busy, we can't really figure out what's going on, so Matt calls up one of our customers or emails him and says, so thanks for your order, but how did you find us? They said, well, you're on a Facebook community site called I Love My German Shepherd. Oh, check it out. So check this out. There's a dude on there who knocked us off. He built something called the Happy Stick. Seriously, that's the name of it, the Happy Stick. But he couldn't sell it yet. He has videos of his dog out there playing with it, and people are like, I love this, where do I get one? Like, I'm working on it. But because he couldn't sell it, one of our customers put our video up and said, if you like that, try this. And we got more business off of that guy. We got almost probably 3 weeks worth of business off of that guy knocking us off than we would have gotten. So we sent him a huge fruit basket. I mean, it was the size of a car. So we've struggled. We've kind of found our way through this a little bit. Matt's going to tell you kind of what we've done to get there.
I'm going to go real quick because Dave likes to tell stories, but they're really fun. Facebook is really what made us what we are. 2 big reasons. The very beginning, we launched out with Facebook, and what we used that for is a portal to change our product. We came out with one size initially, quickly realized that other dogs could break it, but the people loved it so much, they said it was the best 30 seconds of their dog's life before it broke. So we made a new size. So we went from 1 size, now we have 6 sizes, and that was all because we had a conversation with our customers, and they helped us grow that. The second part of when we really started scaling the business was through Facebook when we made that our paid traffic platform. And that's really where our sales started skyrocketing. That's how we went from $200,000 to $750,000 to where we're trending to about 1.2 now this year. Really what we try to focus on, and a lot of people in here are going to be familiar with this, we try to get more leads, then convert the leads to customers, increase the margin, and then get repeat sales. So there's a few of the things we're doing up there. We can probably go through more of that in the questions, but Facebook is a big part of that, of how we get our leads in the door. My big job is trying to convert those on our website. Our website is doing about $30,000 to $35,000 a month right now just on our e-com site. So that's really where our focus is, and all of that has been increasing over the last year. Our margins, we actually just started doing overseas manufacturing for our larger distributor orders, which has been an interesting change both for the margin side, and we've also increased our average selling price for some of the other items. And then repeat sales, we're starting to implement new things for that as well. And sorry, I know we're close on time, so I'm going to skip through that real quick. Whereas we're going to grow in 2016, international sales is a huge area for us. We'd like to sell those on our website, and so we're working on getting fulfillment centers in each country where they can buy on our site, and we ship in country rather than having a distributor there. Brick and mortar retail is a big push for us this year. We're going to multiple trade shows and had great response so far. A lot of new traffic platforms. We do about everything there is in digital marketing, and we convert really well on all those, so we're just trying to hone that in and scale those up. And then we're working on new product launches right now as well. If you have cats, we're working on the TetherTug version for that as well, which will be fun. All right, any questions? Sorry, I had to go really fast.
Nope, great job. Okay, we're going to go ahead and open it up to our expert panelists, Nathan and Paul, and then we'll move to our audience.
So are most of your sales now web-based? Are you getting these orders and shipping them out via UPS?
Yeah, they're web-based one way or another, either through Amazon from somebody else who's bought from us or bought from a distributor through Amazon. Probably 20% to 25% currently is retail, where we're shipping directly to a store.
Yeah, we're about 30% on our own website, about 30% on e-tail websites we partner with, and then we have distributors that pick up the rest for retail, and then only about 5 to 7 are true retail brick and mortar.
And how fast can the dogs break? I mean, they look pretty sturdy. How fast do they go through them? Obviously depends on the dog, but are you getting a lot of repeat business because they break a lot, or is it?
No, really the repeat business comes from the end toy, and as you can see there, it actually detaches, so the pole itself will last at least a year, if not longer. But the end toys, just like any rope toy, a dog's going to shred through. So we sell those as replacements, kind of the razor blade theory to a small degree. But that's how we do the replacement side, so we can charge a little more and have a better warranty for the stick portion.
I feel like I'm going to be like the Simon of this little duo here. So all right. So just two things. The first I thought was really neat, but you kind of like subtly glossed over it. But you talked about the product at the beginning, and then how ultimately like that wasn't what made the difference. It turned out that like you got to go sell some shit to make some difference. So I actually thought that was really interesting because most people don't talk about that often. And so what I usually tell people is that the product's important, but like it's just table stakes. The growth is what matters. The distribution is what matters.
Right.
And so it was really interesting to hear. You had that one slide with all the meat on it with this right here. And it was like the third line on that is basically all that matters in that first section. Anyway, the point is, I was just saying, is like where I was going with this was, once you started focusing on growth is when I guess, through the cynical eyes of an investor, started to kind of perk up a little bit. Sure. Which leads me to the second point that I just want to kind of make, which is like, I kind of think you guys are doing yourselves a disservice by spending that first 3 minutes sort of on the jokey stuff. So like, the thing is, when you don't have any sort of traction, by all means, show a video, make a joke, whatever, right? But like when you're selling, especially when you're selling to somebody's dog or it's a sale for their pet, it's inherently emotional for them, right?
Right.
And so once you have some sort of traction, just lead with it. Not because it's like a show-off thing, but because like it's a filtering thing. So even with the as seen on TV, right? Like whenever something really sells, you're like, oh, 7 million bottles sold. And you're like, what? You haven't even told me what it is yet. But it's 7 million bottles sold, right? So like, sure. Where I'm going with this is just when you have traction, lead with the traction, and then get to this stuff as fast as you can. Sure. You almost want people saying like, what the hell do you even sell? Like, why are people buying so much of this? Because like now this is like the cynical view of an investor, so just take it for whatever it's worth, which is that like so we've Hollywoodized entrepreneurship now around the country, right? There's TV shows about it, there's all sorts of stuff, and that's cool because it's cheaper than ever to start. The problem is that for guys like you that have traction, you're getting lost in the noise. So whether you decide to sell more stuff, raise more money, whatever, like you gotta stand out of the noise, right? So that's why I'll just tell you again, like just wrapping it up, it's like, love that you're focused on the growth rather than the product now. That to me sort of screams of like corporate maturity now, which is really cool. You're not a startup anymore, that's super cool. And then the other thing is just flip the pitch. Now that you have traction, lead with that.
Good.
Otherwise, really, really great
That's
stuff.
awesome, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that.
I'll mount one on the back of the trailer, and we'll just see if dogs start hanging out.
Yeah, we can mount it to somehow. Yeah.
Last question for me. So, retail distribution, is that an area you guys really want to focus? Is that an area, are you going to have to put TV displays in all these stores to get people to see what it is? Or are you going to stick mostly to the web?
Great question, great conversation for us. Retail can help us get to a lot more places. Stay to the web, we make a lot more money. It's kind of this two-edged sword. If we can get out to more places, we're having more stores contacting us because people see it and then they want to buy it from their local store because they want to help promote their own community. It's probably something we'll have to make a decision as we go farther along the line where we're going to have to turn. International is a big one for us because international can go put it on Amazon.uk, go put it on Amazon.au. That kind of area can go for us, but retail is going to be a little tougher. It's a little more tricky. We probably won't go the big stores, the big boxes, the PetSmarts, because they don't have that customer relationship. But the individual mom and pop stores where they can say, come on here, I want to show you something real quick. I know what kind of dog you have. Let me show you this. They do really, really well with it. And when we sell directly to them, our margins are huge. Probably 65%.
We'd like to do it though because we know we're missing customers. There's some people that won't find it online, even though that's where we do all of it. So if we can get there, that's an untapped market for us. But it's really hard because we're just a stick with a rope. And TV screens are great if they'll go turn them on and use them in the store, but a lot of times they don't. So we haven't been able to solve that problem yet. We're working on it with displays that are more graphic, but at the end, it's a tough toy to sell in retail.
All right, we're going to go ahead and open it up to the community for questions. Show of hands.
You mentioned that you were knocked off by that one gentleman that had I Love My German Shepherd. He appeared.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you have any protection for your product, like patent. You file for patent protection, or if you.
Yeah, our patent's been filed. It's in the, I'm losing the word.
We've got a provisional patent. The non-provisional is in, and we also have a PCT ready to go as we start going to other countries. So we've got some protection at least for that. And we've got a pretty good head start, which helps us a little bit too. We know that can go away quickly, but we've got a good start on people. Yeah, I think right now it is.
All right, you talked a little bit about the durability, but I have a 14-pound Labradoodle that can destroy any dog toy in about 2 hours. How durable is your product? I would hate to pay $50 for a product that's destroyed in 2 hours.
Did you say 14 pound?
14 pounds, little mini Labrador.
Wow.
I like it.
Couple things. This is our first toy we came out with, our original. This is our Uber. Bring it on, Labrador. On the rope. So a couple things for you. One, our philosophy is this. We think this is a great toy. We want everybody to have a great experience. You buy the toy from us. You buy it from anybody. You just prove to me you had one and it broke, and we're going to take care of it. We'll get you a new toy. If you buy the red one, we go and we take you up to the large, okay? The ropes themselves are a little bit trickier for us because here's the deal. This is a tug toy. If I give you a nice, hard, fibrous rope, you're going to rip your dog's mouth. I give you a nice, soft cotton rope, then you're going to have to find it's going to wear out. That's okay. This rope on your 14-pound dog, he'll never get through. Mm-hmm. So, and if you have a problem, you call us and we'll take care of you. But a 14-pounder?
We found it's almost better for us. And early on, we made the stance that we'll just replace every single toy that breaks with a new toy rather than refunding. Because once somebody gets a toy that works, they tell everybody they know about it. The dog world is so awesome for that. So instead of refunding, every time we go above and beyond to just send one as quickly as we can, up their size, no charge, just to get them a new toy. And that's paid huge dividends for us.
Question in the back here, guys, hidden behind the TV.
My question happens to do with your name. I know that you're going to expand your product line and you're doing the cat thing, but at some point, if you get away from this, because Tether Tug makes total sense and I get it, but if you start producing or adding other things, will your name sustain you in the marketplace? Or will you have to say, from the people that brought you Tether Tug, here's whatever it is?
Yeah, I think
so.
You
That's
just nailed
my question.
It. Yeah, that's the hardest thing we've had with coming up with a cat toy is how do we keep that inside of our Tether Tug family and not call it the Tether Tug, because that is our brand and our brand is our product. So I think it's going to be something like it's coming from the people that made Tether Tug. We're going to figure out a way to make that connection, but The cat world's a whole different world for us too. That's just a different group of people. Sorry if you're a cat person, but I love dog people. That's all I'll say. So.
Question to your left here.
Hi. Growing up, all our family dogs were always family dogs and hunting dogs.
Sure.
And I was always taught you should never play tug of war with your dog. And something like this where they're just kind of pulling all the time, do you see that kind of creates a behavior where they're running into that, where they're just trying to grab and pull at things all the time?
For hunting dogs, it makes sense because you want them to release the prey. So we do have hunting dogs that they say we just can't use this. A lot of times they'll get a tennis ball toy, and that changes it a little bit. Rather than as much tug, they're more biting on that. Tug is kind of known to be a healthy play for dogs, especially when it's non-aggressive against a human. So they're not seeing dominance, there's not anything else, they're just exerting energy. So we haven't necessarily seen that. Now, anytime you play with your dog, you can teach them something, but none of our customers have come back and complained that now my dog is biting on other things. It actually is the opposite. My dog is no longer chewing on the black tarp that's out in the yard or my curtains because they're getting their energy out. We actually have one dog, they posted a video where the dog fell asleep with the tug still in their mouth outside. That went everywhere for us. That was great.
Yeah, just follow up on that real quick. What we've gotten as our feedback on that is, as long as the dog's not playing with you, it's okay. And if they are playing with you, you can't let them win, which is very hard because if you have a 70-pound lab, they can outplay you. But if they're playing here, vets and trainers have said that's okay because it's not a game against you. Does that answer?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's
Question up
distracting.
front that I'm working towards. Coming.
Great presentation, guys. Thanks for coming out today.
Thank you.
Some people who are here know that I'm a lawyer, and I ask occasionally the lawyer question. And the reason I bring this up is recently I saw a case where a leash manufacturer got sued because the snap swivel broke off. The dog ran out in the street. Dog was killed, and they were litigating against the manufacturer of the leash or the bridle or whatever was on the dog.
Happy feeling gun.
And I have an 8-pound dachshund, and if that happened, we'd be crushed too. And
Sure.
But my first reaction was, I'm also a pilot, is, hey, it's your equipment. You better make sure it's operable. You better inspect it. But what are you doing to deal with the potential liability issues if it fails, dog's injured, or human being is injured when the dog lets go? Do you have warnings? Do you have insurance? What's your strategy? Small companies often don't think about this until they end up in their first lawsuit. So tell me what your experience and your thoughts on that are.
I don't know how well you can see the back of our panel. See the gray box? Right there is warnings all the way down to here. Don't play with it. Now, as a lawyer, you probably know those are worth just a little bit. But it says don't play with it by yourself. Don't leave the dog unattended. Guard it. Pull it out of the ground at night. Don't leave it alone.
Right.
No, I've had mine
Sure.
in my yard for 3 years. But we do have a $2 million liability coverage. We've been able to grow the way we grow because we take care of people. We've had one person who thinks, and I really mean thinks, that our toy hurt their dog. We took care of it because we don't know and we don't want it to be left out there with a bad taste in their mouth. I mean, exactly. This is an issue a little bit for us here. It's a metal clip, it's a carabiner. The way it sets on the toy, it shouldn't hurt a dog, but sometimes a dog will bite here. So we're testing straps, nylon straps for us. We've got to find ways to make that work. That's part of our progression of making our toy better. So we do have lots of insurance because once you start going to other stores like Bed Bath & Beyond wants us to have $2 million. So we have to have that for them. And we do try to put all the warnings in. Yeah, if your dog gets hurt, it's terrible. The toy doesn't actually flex back very far because of the fiberglass. So if we were this far apart, the rope wouldn't even hit me. But it's a concern. Does that answer your question?
It does. All right, you guys thought you were off the hot seat, but Paul's got one more.
So you talked about growth there just for a second. I'm just curious, how do you guys actually benchmark your own growth now? So you've been doing this for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
How big is your team?
You're looking at it?
Awesome. Okay, that's great.
We got one more person in the warehouse, but
Yeah.
otherwise it's us three.
Well, remember, headcount isn't the metric really. It's
Sure.
the sales is.
Yeah,
so,
we'd prefer
so
to
that's
keep
cool.
it this. Yeah.
But how do you sort of benchmark your own growth now? It's not a trick question. I'm
Yeah, sure.
genuinely curious. So for example, you talked about. Let me just set it up for you. So you're going to aim for 1.2 this year, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So where do you come up with that number?
That's a good, well, as an investor, I'm going to give you an answer you're not going to like.
We're never happy, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. The question is, how do we benchmark where our growth is? Is when we keep making changes and adjustments, we keep seeing different pushes in our company. And we're still young enough, you know, for what my idea of goal setting is, you have to have more historical information, and we don't have a ton of that. But we know that when we make changes to our website, when we know we make changes to our affiliate marketing, we know that we push and we're going to spend marketing money to go to shows and go international, it's going to have an effect on us. So Matt handles most of the marketing, the e-commerce side, then I handle the sales side of it. So based upon what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, plus some enthusiasm, is how I'm doing that. And that's where we're going with it. We're still, the trajectory is so huge right now, nothing's really fair.
Yeah.
You know, if I said, hey, let's grow 15% over last year, that would be stupid.
Yeah, it's easier for me to do that on the e-com side because I can see year over year and I can see growth that way. When we're going into retail channels, it's hard, so we have to project. And we do that the best we can, but that's the great challenge for everybody, I think, of how to.
We went from 720 last year, and if we get to, and our goal this year is 1.2, if I get to 1.1, I'm not going to consider that a failure. But if I get to 1.5, I'm not going to say I killed it, because maybe I should be at 3. It's going so quickly.
I'd say we comp over last year's sales is probably the number one thing we look at least for these slower months, because this is out of our season. So this is kind of how we're trending. So we're trending 30 to 40% up from last year on that. So that's our simple method. Besides the e-com, I've got tons of stuff on the e-com side and return on ads. But
and you're obviously right, because the e-com side is the one that can scale a bit faster and probably has a little bit of a cap on the upside too, just because like the retail is where you're going to get most of your sales, I bet, in the long term. That being said, though, just this is going to come across a little preachy, but just something to think about would be like the analogy I always use with a lot of my portfolio companies is the 5-minute mile. Right, for like 1,000 years, like people thought that you couldn't break the 5-minute mile because somebody would surely die, right? And then one person does it, and all of a sudden, if you look at like historically, the 10 people around that person, and all of a sudden started breaking all the records again.
Right.
And it happened again at the 4-minute mile, and now whatever it is. So just something to think about would be that like 10% month over month growth is the target on the e-commerce side.
Sure.
And like and the only reason I put that number out there is because people don't, like, I think the most misunderstood thing on the planet is how compound interest works, or how compound growth works, right? Sure. 10% month over month growth on the e-com side easily doubles your business every year. All other things being equal, right? And to me, what I think I hear is that you've got a product that is profitable at the unit economic level, right? So you sell one, you make money on it. Right. And when you think about it that way, as long as that is true, that you do have a margin at the unit economic level, then you shouldn't be afraid of just dumping lots of cash into growing the e-com side.
Did you hear that, Dave?
In the well, you know, look, I don't want to be too prescriptive here, right? Because I'm just like sitting here and preaching now.
Sure.
But I would just say that like sales, at the end of the day, the real fear that I have with companies at your stage, so what we see in the portfolio, or at least in mine anyways, is that like $0 to $1 million of revenue is just about brute force. The founders just go out there and just sell some shit and then do it 100 times over. That's it, right? But then to go from 1 to 10 million, it's really about optimizing, or at least starting to put in a sales operation kind of organization. So now you have 2 channels, right? You got the retail and the e-com. You have slightly different metrics, but at the bottom it all drops down to the same. It's how many units did you sell, right? And you start to hire for that. You start to hire to like build out that sales ops piece. And I don't mean somebody with shiny shoes and an expensive suit. I just mean that like you just need to be able to like sell more stuff, get more placements. And then when you get to 10 million to 100 million, it tends to be about just like figuring out lead velocity and cleaning up the marketing. So my last piece of advice on this would be that like just find other people like you or doing stuff like you on the e-com side and just get close to them, right? Because like I don't fully understand the retail side, so I openly admit that, right? But one of the most interesting things I'll see in the portfolio is that the people that do the e-com at some of the best companies in the portfolio, like they actually take those people's names off of LinkedIn, because like those are the most high value people, right? So you want to like, you almost want to go to like LA and find your peers that are selling this kind of stuff, for example, to moms or to cat people or to whatever.
Sure.
And you just start to set up like little dinners with your peers that are actually doing stuff in the weeds. Because that's the thing about growth hacking, right? Everybody wants to read about growth hacking. The reality is, by the time the growth hacker actually writes the growth hack out, there's no yield anymore, right? And what you really want to do is just find these people while they're still kind of experimenting. So whether it's through private dinners or through your investor networks or whatever network it is, find the people that are in the weeds. Like it's like even with Living Social or Groupon, I actually think the smartest people there are the ones that are actually buying the ads on a daily basis. And as it's probably inappropriate to say, but even like in the adult industry, some of the best pay-per-click people in the industry ever, anywhere, work in the adult industry. And same with like the ads seen on TV. Like they probably hide all their the actual people. So that's
awesome.
Way over there.
No, you're good. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. It's good wisdom.
Wisdom is a little much.
It was good talking.
All right.
I drive a trailer, man.
So I'm comfortable now, so I'm going to ask it from here. The big question, what can we as a community do to help you guys?
Give him the mic back. That was good.
It's like a bookseller, right?
Yeah.
40, give me your friend.
One of the big things that we have, well, we've got our list of things. There's our international side. If any of you have any connections with people within the pet world, really domestically or internationally, I feel like I got to be careful what I say. Like, go, no, that's a bad idea. What we also need is somebody who has a real engineering background. Our business partner in this is a physician. He's the one who actually invented the toy, so he's not an engineer. We need to make this smaller, durable, and so it can fit on a pallet. When we can do that, we can ship it for a lot less. Right now, it costs me $10 to ship one, no matter if it's Kansas City to Springfield or if it's to Hawaii. Hawaii's like $23. But we got to find a way to get it smaller to make it more practical so we can get it out to more people. So if you happen to have some engineering experience, some engineering background, we can't saw the toy in half and just put screws in it. That won't work. We've tried it, trust me. Bloggers?
Yeah, if you have an influencer or a blogger that you follow, especially in the pet world or even in the lifestyle world of what we do, either tell them or let me know, and I'm happy to reach out to them, but that's a great avenue for us. And then like us on Facebook. You can see some of our updates. And if you're interested in Tether Tug, we have a 50% off coupon code. Just use 1MCKC. There's only 10 available, so first come, first serve. Sorry about that.
Ready, go.
Yeah.
All right,
you.
thanks, guys. Awesome presentation. Thanks, guys. We've got a couple of quick announcements. Kayla, if I can have you come up. We'll have you go first, and then Nathan will have you go for 1 week KC after that. But this is Kayla. She's going to give us an announcement about the Lean Lab. All right.
Can everyone hear me? Okay, good morning. I'm from the Lean Lab. It is a nonprofit in Kansas City, Missouri, dedicated to finding entrepreneurial solutions to education in Kansas City. This summer, we're hosting our program called the Incubator Fellowship, and we're looking for applicants. So if you are a part of a startup that is building solutions for problems in education in Kansas City, we would love for you to apply. It's a 4.5-week summer program, full-time. We have anywhere from $10,000 to $35,000 in seed funding. We have a group of mentors and school partners so that you can beta test within the classroom. And we have a happy hour happening Monday, May 16th at Char Bar. If you want to come and talk with us and ask some questions, we would love to hear from you. So thank you.
Thank you. We also have Nathan with an announcement about 1 week KC.
Hey, you guys. This is the 5th anniversary of 1 week KC. It started 5 years ago as a way for the city to get around how we're going to promote Kansas City as the most entrepreneurial city in the country. This thing's still going on. There's flyers in the back. Please grab one. I want to highlight a couple of things. Matthew Marcus is leading up the startup crawl. Starts a week from Friday, right? Yeah, so it kicks off next Friday. Please take one of these. Go to the 1weekkc.com website. Sign up because some of these slots are filling up. I'll also tell you that Demo Day is filling up with the Sprint Accelerator. And E-Day at the K tickets are going up because the Royals have dynamic pricing. You win a World Series, the prices go up. So please buy your tickets soon. But guys, go ahead and sign up. We're going to have a very special event for E-Day at the K. one of the areas we've not been great at as a community is getting our artist community together with our tech community. We're doing something different this year because all of the tech guys need front-end designers, creatives, and a lot of the designers need tech support to build out their platforms. We're getting everyone together this year. So we've got some artists presenting and performing. We're going to have a great panel to talk about how do you do e-commerce in this new age? How do you sell art online? Great panel on that. So please sign up, grab one of these on the way out, sign up today, buy your tickets today. Looking forward to a great event. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Nathan. And I think we have one more. Do we have Patsy here from World Trade Day? Ah, there she is. Come on up. And by the way, if you grab one of the flyers here, all of the announcement information is on the back, so please make sure you grab one. They're back by the coffee so you can see all these details.
Good morning. My name is Patsy O'Connor. I'm the director of the World Trade Center, Kansas City. Most people don't know that we have a World Trade Center unless you are involved in international business. So very excited to hear Tether Tug talk about international sales. 95% of world consumers live outside of the United States. So it definitely is something to consider, and you definitely need to consider a lot of variables. So we're kind of here to help businesses do that and walk through the process. I'm here today to let you guys know that we have a celebration coming up next week. It's going to be at KCP&L from 3 to 6. It's the 4th annual World Trade Day. So it's when the international community in Kansas City comes around to celebrate the accomplishments that we've had in Kansas City in terms of international. We just created the first ever strategic export plan for Kansas City, which is very cool. And we just wanted to invite you guys all out to celebrate. You are a very great group for us to hone in on, because we'd like everybody to be born global. We'd like companies to be thinking internationally and thinking globally from the start of their business model. So I have a couple of these, and I'll just leave them up front if anybody's interested in grabbing them, and I appreciate the time. So, next Thursday, May 19th, 3 to 6. All right.
Thank you so much, Patsy. So just really quick, as a way to say thank you to those that support 1 Million Cups, every week. If you've been here 10 times or more, please raise your hand so I can see you. Now, if you've been here 10 times or more, but you haven't received one of our 1 Million Cups mugs, please stand up. All right. I think we're going to go with this lady here today. Come on down. Come on down. Thank you. Tell us what your name is and why you come really quick.
My name is Alex Owens. I work for Thinking Bigger Business Media, and I come every week just to listen to the wonderful entrepreneurs in the community and write a little bit about it, post it on our website, so check it out. We usually post it later in the day today, and you can read about it if you missed it that week, so look for it.
Thank you so much. Here is your mug, and keep posting for us. We love it. All right, so we want to welcome Tope from Social Capital, who instantly turns emails into deep psychological profiles. Would love to hear more about this. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Social Capital is something very personal to me. Social Capital is an artificial intelligence platform that turns emails into people. Rather than administering long, boring personality assessments or spending hours getting to know somebody or administering interviews, Social Capital puts personality insights at your fingertips at the click of a button. The click of a button. Do I need to do it from here? Can I grab one of those?
Anybody want to get up and dance for a second?
All right, we're good. Mm-hmm. Still not working. Okay. Scientists have known for years that the simple words that we use in our daily lives can provide deep insight into who we are and the way that we think about ourselves. So let's take a look at some of the tweets of some famous people and see if we can guess their personalities. Here we have a guy that some of you may know, Kanye West, famous musician. Kanye says about his wife, Kim, "Kim doesn't understand what a blessing I am to her." Because of words like these, we know that Kanye is confident, he's driven, and is also a bit disagreeable, right? Here's another young lady you may know, Taylor Swift. She says, "Conversations with myself while shopping. Put the candle down. You already have too many candles. Put it down. But it smells so pretty." Taylor is relatively grounded, and she tends to value her friendships. And finally, one more gentleman that you all may know, Mayor James. Mayor James says, "Here's my KC checklist. A Royals game, barbecue at the park, and a show at KC Starlight. KC loves Starlight." For those of you who may or may not have met the mayor, he is outgoing, energetic, and values tradition. Here's a screenshot of our actual profile on the website. Here's Marissa Mayer, CEO of Yahoo. Up here you can see some of her thinking styles: conscientiousness, enthusiasm, assertiveness. These are metrics or intellectual competencies that we're able to measure on people, right, to understand them. Down here we also have a summary, a text summary of a person based on the social media and the information that we're able to gather about them online. So how does it work? Social Capital goes out onto the web and gathers your social media online footprint. We find your Facebook, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, any publicly available information that you may have on the internet. We then analyze that using psycholinguistic analysis and machine learning, and we're able to identify your personality type. Our machine simply counts the percentage of words that match a given emotion, a given thinking style, and we're able to use that weighted combination to identify what your personality is. While building our system, we start to get a lot of interest from marketers, from the marketing and advertising industry. The problem is that marketers generally have nothing but demographic information. As we can see here, they have Mary's age. She's between 25 and 34. They may know where she lives, and they may know her about how much money she makes in a year. But the problem is that with that is you don't have any real specific information about Mary, and so marketing to her, marketers will generally come up with messaging that's pretty general, something that just appeals to everybody, something like coffee brewed with love. Using the social capital system, marketers can get to understand Mary on a deeper, more personal level, understanding that she's a competitive and that thinks very fast and logically, and so therefore can create new custom messaging that would appeal to Mary in a deeper, more innate way. New caramel macchiato has twice the nutrients to last you twice as long, and that resonates with Mary. Marketers can simply upload a list of email addresses into the social capital system, and we will go out onto the internet and find the personalities of each one of these customer types. We then build out a segmentation for the marketers where they can see a segmentation of their customers based on personality, interests, as well as a buyer persona, understanding how people see money and how you can therefore market to them in a way that builds rapport with them. We've been working with Pinsight Media to create an advertising campaign on Twitter where Pinsight is talking to their customers and sending out different messaging to different personality types based on how they communicate online. Right? So Pinsight sent us the list of customers that they were interested in reaching on Twitter. We did the segmentation, we did the analysis, returned that back to Pinsight, and now they're able to sell their services in a way that strikes rapport with their customers. We have now analyzed over 500,000 personalities on social capital. So the opportunity for this is huge. Last year alone, over $64 billion was spent in online marketing. $2 billion of those were specifically in email marketing. Social capital is positioned to capture a large portion of these markets. So how do we make money? I showed you an interface earlier, which is a consumer interface. Any of you actually today can go to Social Capital IO, log in, and be able to use that system. That system will be charged on a monthly subscription basis. For marketers such as Pinsight, they would be charged on a per request basis for every single email that passes through our system. Let's talk about the team. With two technical co-founders, myself and Obed Eugene, as well as Mikhail Kosinski, the world-leading expert in psycholinguistic analysis. We are primed to tackle this problem. We have both the passion and the desire to bring emotional intelligence to the world. Our ask of you today is to go to socialcapital.io, type in your email address, type in your Twitter handle, and get your personality profile today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tope. We want to go ahead and open it up to our expert panelists to start with the questions before we open it up to the audience.
So do you see the primary channel really going to these marketing agencies to help them out, or are there other channels that you guys see as well?
So there are two major channels that we see right now. Obviously, this is a very new technology, a very new field, in fact. The two major channels that we've seen, and this is based mostly on the interest of the consumer, is the marketing, ad tech, programmatic advertising, where advertisers will be able to go onto a direct selling platform where they want to buy media spots, and they would be able to buy data on different personality types. For example, if you want to market to charitable buyers, people that love the environment, people that want local stuff, people that want community, you'll be able to choose that segmentation, and then your ad will automatically be served to those kind of people on some type of direct selling platform. We also see a lot of interest, obviously, on a one-to-one basis. Whenever people get a chance to try our system, they fall in love with it. They search themselves, their spouse, their family members, et cetera, et cetera. So we find that to be very powerful for, one, salespeople who want to make a good impression on their customers, or entrepreneurs who may be able to use this as a sort of a cure-all for management, whether it's sales, just whether it's talking to investors. In fact, you want to sort of get a head look of the guy that you're about to talk to. Social Capital provides you with a lot of information on them.
This one's hard because I don't know which angle to come at this from. Like, are you raising money, or do you want me to put on the investor hat or the customer hat?
Whichever you like.
That doesn't even help. That does not make my life any easier. Okay, so, all right, well, just to give it to you really directly, like, no matter, okay, so right now you're coming across as a tech company that might go sell some shit.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, you need to be a sales company that happens to have some tech behind you. And why I say that is that, like, if I think about kind of, like, I'm just a really visual thinker, right? When I think about the overall pitch that you just gave, I think what you were trying to do is to show how broadly the technology could be applied.
Yeah.
The problem is that most humans don't give a shit, right? Most humans, I bet you 90% of the people in here were checking their email, not because they don't like this, but because, like, they got shit to do. Your job as the founder is to, like, really make it so simple for them to understand. Like, don't tweet this next part, but, like, for example, we have a portfolio. Don't tweet this next part. But anyway, just to give you an example, we have a portfolio company named Boomerang. Boomerang. Anybody know Boomerang? What is Boomerang?
It's on Instagram? No,
It's basically, don't tweet this because they'll kill me for saying this. All it is a reminder when somebody, like if I send you an email, it just reminds me if you don't respond after a certain number of days. That's all it does. That's all it does. Now there's some, like, cool tech behind it and whatever, like, and if you let the engineers out of the back room, they'd be like, holy shit, look at how amazing it is. But you know what Boomerang did to get, like, their novel growth strategy at the beginning was they basically focused on founders, and they said, like, never let a investor relationship go cold. Now, it turns out 5 years later that it's used in a lot of different applications. It's hooked into CRM systems. It's hooked into all these other things. But just to survive the first round, they had to get some sort of novel distribution tactic going. And so they just basically wrapped the marketing around this technology so that it was just like every founder had to use this. If you wanted to raise money, you had to install Boomerang so that you could just kind of keep touch points going with your investors. So for you, whether you decide to go after, like, and I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm not saying you got to make this for founders. What I am saying, though, is you've got to find a wedge, like something to get to the next level. And so whether you decide you want to go after marketing firms or you want to go after, like, coffee, you know, these little subscription coffee companies that are out there and that want to reach these customers, pick a niche. The goal here is to niche to win, right? Like, at this stage of your company's life cycle, you just have to survive. And the number one way to survive is to just take over one vertical and own it as deep as you can. Hopefully there's something helpful in there. But again, I think the thing I hope you get, and I hope that everybody understands, is that, like, in 2016, where anybody can start a company today, like, you're not like everybody's a tech company now. You can't. It's not even cool to say you're a tech company. Like find me a bricklayer that doesn't have a smartphone, and maybe we'll talk about it. But like you people are no longer tech companies. You're sales companies that happen to have technology. Whether or not you go venture funded or not, right? You are sales companies that happen to have some technology. I feel like I got really preachy there, but
That's cool.
I'm also scared to look myself up on this now.
I play with it a bit. You can creep a little bit. You have to stop before you go too far. Going down that sales pipeline channel, though, what does it take to actually get into? It is because it's pretty cool. It's a really neat tool. What's it going to take for you guys to get into? Pinsight's great. They're the first customer. But what does that channel look like? What does that progress look like?
So Pinsight was great for us to validate the data from a marketing point of view. As he mentioned, we're pretty much guys that came from pattern recognition backgrounds, engineering guys. Mikal is the world-leading mind in psycholinguistic analysis. So we really geek out about psychology and understanding people and being the most accurate machine learning platform from a personality insights point of view. As far as getting into these marketing agencies, we find that programmatic is where pretty much everyone's going. Everybody I talk to, every marketer I talk to is talking to me about companies like LiveRamp or other data management platforms that allow you to programmatically buy ads, right? So it's not a manual process anymore, obviously, extremely programmatic. So for us, it's all about plugging into that. And once you're able to plug into a platform, all the buyers sort of come to market, right? So once we're able to contract with a company like MediaMath or LiveRamp or whoever it may be, everybody sort of comes to that marketplace, and then they can choose on a case-by-case basis if they want to include social capital in that particular campaign or not.
We also want to open it up to the audience for questions. If you've got a question, raise your hand.
I'll go with the young
Thank you.
lady.
Yeah, I'm hiding over here. So I have a couple questions for you. Are you using, so I know IBM Watson has something very similar to this. Are you using that at all? And then second, there's a couple other programs out there like this. Not exactly what you're doing, like Crystal Knows is very similar to this, where you can talk to your employees a certain way. And then, so IBM Watson, Crystal Knows, so how do you compete with them? And then I have one more thing after you.
So IBM Watson and pretty much everybody in the field right now is using, at the very base, they use a dictionary called the LIWC, Linguistic Inquiry Word Count, developed by a guy named James Pennebaker. This is the industry standard in psycholinguistic analysis. We also use that currently. Our competitive advantage is Mikal Kosinski. Mikal is the world brain in this. Right now, let me just get a bit scientific on you. It's an n-gram recognition process right now. Basically, we find a word, it matches a category, we do a weighted combination, and then great, you are an extrovert, introvert, whatever the case may be. In the future, it's a bit more unstructured type of learning, which means it's not necessarily matching words, it's looking more for context. So we know that in the next year, we're gonna far outpace IBM Watson, we're gonna outpace Crystal Knows and all these folks. These people, Crystal Knows is doing a great job in sales. IBM Watson, from my point of view, they just want to get out there and put something out there first, but we have the best people in the world in this field. So we just know we're gonna win.
Great. And then there's a company in town called Edge Up Sports that is doing this for sports. So how do you pick your fantasy football team based on their social profiles? So it just may be a good partnership with them.
It's part of our vision for this to spread to the whole world. So if they're helping us in that way, then great.
Got a question here on the front.
Hi, great presentation, very interesting product. I just hopped on and tried to look at my own profile and see what would come up with it. It asked me permission to get into my LinkedIn profile. I'm curious, when you're doing this on a bigger basis, how are people having to give their permission? Is there concerns about you having their data, even though it's obviously out there? And then secondly, are you focusing more on the larger companies, or is there a solution for a small business or a startup company with this?
So we're focusing on the smaller companies, and then we're giving the data sort of to the larger companies. And we're working with publicly available data. What you saw there was the LinkedIn login is us sort of getting more into that permission where people can sort of permit us access to their LinkedIn information, permit us access to their Facebook, or whatever the case may be. We don't necessarily need that. We can find you, if you have a public profile, if you have a public persona, we can find that. But people allowing us in is going to give us deeper information, allowing us to make an even deeper analysis.
question back left.
So, sort of two related questions, and it's following on from what you just said, which is there's a very big difference between my public persona and my private, what I actually want to buy persona. Now, if you're a celebrity, they're the same thing. But once you're into real human beings, I audit myself on Facebook quite heavily because my mom's there. So I can't say everything that's on my heart on Facebook. And the other thing is, what are you using to train your model, right? So what is your training data for this so that you can validate that you've actually gotten somebody's personality right?
Okay. So the first question is, some people have different faces on social than they do in real life. This is true, right? The way the linguistic inquiry word count works is based more so on how you paint a picture than the actual nouns you use. So if you were to say, I love my car or I love the Royals, it doesn't really matter. The fact that you love it is the most important part in that sentence there. So that mitigates a lot of it. But at the end of the day, you're right. We can only show the personality that you show publicly online. We're not claiming to be psychics. This is science. The words that you put online, those are the words that we analyze, and that's the personality that we're able to display. You had a second question. Training. Okay. So the way the training works is we have millions of people online that volunteer their online posts and also take psychological tests, right? And then, so somebody takes a test and it gives us back their Big 5 score: openness, conscientiousness, and then our machine analyzes their post and we try to see if we can match those. We then have psychologists, graduate students working at the McCall that would read a post and say, well, this post is this open, this conscientious, this neurotic, and then see if that matches up with a survey that the person may have taken, if that makes sense.
We've got another question here on the front, and we've got just a few minutes left here, so we'll try to move it along.
Oh, it's me. I didn't actually, I'm not sure how to articulate this, but I want to be really helpful. So, all right, look, this is not going to be directed at you. I'm going to direct it at the room, but you made me think of this. So look, there's a whole category of things that founders say that mean one thing coming off your lips that means something else entirely when they hit the investor's ear. So a good example would be when founders say, look at what we've done with no marketing. The founder's like, oh, look, like 3 people want it, right? And the investor's like, oh, shit. So we're going to bleed money after the next round because you haven't tested any of the thing, right? So one of the phrases that you said that I thought was, there was like a red flag, was like, you're betting so much on this other guy, Kopinski or whoever it is. I have anybody know this guy? He's probably very nice.
Unless you're academic psychology.
Yeah, and so like here's the thing, like my counter to that, so you're betting everything on him. My counter is like, well, okay, well shit, if the guy gets hit by a bus, like we need to be talking about key man insurance, which is not what you intended to mean, I don't think. Right? And so like I could go on about this, and actually we're going to do like this brown bag lunch later if you guys want to go talk more about this later. But the thing is, be really careful about it. Like my general heuristic is, if the founder spends more than 50% of the time explaining the product, there's a red flag there, because like better products don't win. Better products don't win, right? Like it's all about the marketing of the product. It's all about the distribution of the product. Like I want to bet. I don't actually want to bet on Kopinski or whoever. I want to bet on a way that you think, because that's repeatable. Like you can hire somebody and you can train them to kind of like keep doing what you're doing, right? Like I know it sounds terrible to say, but at the end of the day, like at this stage, I know you have to say like we have the best team in the world, but God, if I had a penny for every time I heard that fucking statement, I wouldn't be driving around in an Airstream. Like I'd have like a plane or something. But so like I know look, when you're starting, it's like this like act of brute force. You gotta like get out there, and I've been there too. I mean, look, I was a founder too, and like you're just trying to brute force your way through it. So I get it, right? But like your credibility comes from you. You glossed over it, but you said that there was that marketing firm, right? That bought that data from you. That was all the credibility you needed, because like that, like to me, it seems to me that there's only 2 stages of every company. I don't care if you're like venture fundable or not. There's only 2 stages. Will it work, and how big could it be, right? And so like throughout your whole presentation, I was like, shit, is this going to work? Is this going to work? Because there's Watson and all these other things, right? But then you said, oh, then there's this one firm, and you just sort of like glossed over it. You're just like, oh yeah, and then they like kind of bought something from us and whatever. But this Kopinski guy, he's the shit, right? All your credibility. It goes back to what I was saying with the dog tether guys. It's like the minute you have one person that is not your mother buying some shit from you, now we can have the conversation about how big this could be. We no longer have to worry about will it work. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right.
It does.
I do like look, I want you guys to win. I'm like the curmudgeon on the panel now.
No.
I'm never going to get invited back.
As you mentioned, it's about the stage. You know, the stage that we're in, especially psychology being sort of a subject that everybody doesn't necessarily understand. We feel the need to sort of let people know and understand what that means.
But I want you to survive to the next round. Like you can educate as you survive, but like right now, like survival is key. My bigger fear right now in the short term is that I need you to either close customers or close an investor, just so that you can kind of keep surviving long enough to keep doing what you want to do. That's the key.
Question on your right.
Mm-hmm.
This is more just a comment or an observation real quickly, but as you go forward in targeting the marketing companies and things like that, I would just say it kind of speaks to the comment about personas being different. So just from a wording and positioning nuance, personality versus buying behavior or buying, persona or that type of language and using how you target and message to different people, I think would be good. Because when I think look up your personality, it's like, oh, it's like Myers-Briggs, and isn't that fun? And I'm gonna see like how I am and share it with my friends. And when I think look up buying behaviors or a persona, that kind of thing, I think of I'm a business and I want to find that information out about my people, or my customers. So that's just a nuance I think about positioning and messaging to your different targets.
All right, so big round of applause right here. Thanks so much, man. All right. Oh, wow. I'm having one of those days. Final question. Apparently Courtney should ask it because I can't remember anything. So what can we as a community do to help you?
Log into socialcapital.io and find your personality today.
Boom. Drop the mic. Thank you, Courtney, for that little reminder. Paul, do you want to say something about what you got going on today?
Now that you said that, yes.
Yeah?
Sure. So despite the fact that I sounded like a curmudgeon or whatever, I do want you guys to win. So we're doing a bunch of office hours. I'm visiting a bunch of the different co-working spaces. If you want to see the rig, actually, it's parked in front of Cowork Waldo. You cannot miss it. It's big. But at lunch today, I don't know where the lunch is today. I'll figure it out for you. But we're going to do a brown bag lunch today for people that want to learn how to start a company or even just want to like have conversations around the early stage challenges. It's intentionally open format like that. So for today, the lunch, I think it's at Startup Village. Village Square. So it's just a, BYOL and a BYOB kind of thing. Beer's cool. And so today's really about just, early stage challenges and open conversation, that sort of thing. This evening, I'm hosting a happy hour at Beer Station. And so if you're there, come on over around 5:30. I think we're going to be upstairs, hiding back in there. What's that? I still don't know where Waldo is. Apparently, it's this big area called Waldo. I'm such a tourist. And then tomorrow we're doing a lunch, another brown bag, and that one I think is really, again, it's going to be open format, but it's for anybody that really wants to think about raising money, and we'll sort of talk about those things. So again, like if you want to come by lunch today or tomorrow, today's at Startup Village. Tomorrow's at Think Big. So just show up around 12:30. I'm probably not supposed to tell you that, but just show up. And then otherwise we'll see you at the happy hour at 5:30. And like I really do want to meet all you guys. The whole selfishly part of the tour is to invest in companies along the way, and I think now we're probably doing anywhere between 1 and 3 investments per week, just rolling through the country. And then, but like more interestingly, I find sort of the conversations around what it's like to build companies in different parts of the country to be really interesting. And something I'll just leave you with is that I started this tour 4 months ago, just driving around and living out of that Airstream full time, and I thought the more interesting part would be the story of entrepreneurship everywhere. But actually, that seems to be like table stakes. What was more interesting, or what has been more interesting, is how different it is, and yet how much of the same it is to build companies all over the country. So, places like Taos, New Mexico, just to show you guys how good you have it. And this is not anything bad about Taos, so don't say this publicly or whatever. They'll hate me there. But like, I just want you to understand, like, most cities don't have this. In Taos, New Mexico, you can't even get on the internet unless you go to the community college. And yet, one of you will bitch about how hard it is to start a company here. And then I'll be like, all right, let's go to New Mexico and I'll show you something else, right? It's never been easier to build a company, and I'm really excited to kind of meet as many of you as I can before I leave on Friday afternoon. So that's my spiel. Thank you. If you're interested in resultsjunkies.com, you can click on the tech tour and see all the dates and all the events.
Results Junkie. So if you just Google Results Junkies, or it's resultsjunkies.com, you can find that whole schedule and all that business. So next week we have Dwarf and another company that I can't pronounce and it's making Anna nervous, Kamiyuno. So I'm as excited as you are to figure out what that is. And thank you so much for coming. We'll see you all next week.